this is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on the upcoming retrograde motion of the planet Saturn, which will start on June 5th in the Aquarius sign. So now friends, the highlight of this upcoming retrograde motion and the important dates we have already discussed in the last video. In this video, we will focus more on the customized results for all the rising signs and specifically studying it only within the boundaries of the Aquarius sign, because Saturn will definitely start its retrograde journey on June 5th in the Aquarius sign, but it will retrograde back to the Capricorn on July 12th. So the time period and the results when it will transit the Capricorn, we will have our discussion on that in some other video. In this video, we will only focus on the time period starting from June 5th till July 12th. And friends, as you know that whenever we have to study the results of any transit, we have to always blend it with your ongoing dashas and yogas which you have in your chart. All alone, stand alone, transit is not sufficient enough to promise any event, nor does only your dashas. You have to blend it. And also friends, definitely this transit will become more important for you if you're already going through the dasha of the planet Saturn. Your profession, your livelihood is straight away connected with the Saturnian fields. And definitely if Saturn becomes a Yogarka planet for you, if you are a Taurus rising, if you are a Libra rising, or let's say for example, you are also going through the Saturn Sadhisati, being a Capricorn, Aquarius or Pisces moon, or even if you have the Cancer or the Scorpio as your moon sign, then also the Dhaya is currently on in your case, and this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn will definitely going to exert its influence in your life. So that is something friends which I wanted to say, just a basic overview. Now we will shift our discussion to the customized results for all the rising signs. Starting with the Aries rising people. So now friends, in your case, Saturn has got the rulership of your 10th house of your profession and 11th house of your gains. From the 11th house, Saturn is going to be aspecting your 1st house of your health, of your public image, 5th house of your mental aptitude, and 8th house of deeper penetrating insights and sudden speculative gains. So now definitely friends, because in the original Kalpurush Kundli as well, 11th house belongs to the planet Saturn. So this retrograde motion will give you a time to reflect on your progress. This is definitely going to be generating more professional opportunities for all of you guys. Now let's say for example, whether you are awaiting any sort of promotion, awaiting some sort of new decision which needs to be made on your professional growth, any sort of opportunities, funding, sponsorship. So for all those perspective, this retrograde motion of the Saturn in your 11th house is going to be generating some very positive news. Now friends, just because the only weakness or vulnerability over here is that Saturn is in the very early degrees of the Aquarius sign. Trust me, if things are going to come to a stalemate or in a doldrum, so it has nothing to do with Saturn being retrograde. It's just like that Saturn is weak in its degree. But apart from that, as per our classical text, this alignment and this role of Saturn in your specific lagna and its retrograde motion is only going to be indicating positive news as well. The only vulnerability is that friends, it might create some sort of difference of opinion in your personal relationship, like because 11th house also tells about your social networking. So over there, it might create a hurdle, but when we talk about from your professional gains perspective, new opportunities, new clarified vision for your goals, for your progress, this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn is creating some very positive news for all the Aries rising people. Moving ahead friends, now for all the Taurus rising people. So now friends, in your case, Saturn becomes a very important Yogarka planet for you guys because of its rulership of your 9th house of your fortune, of higher knowledge and wisdom, and the 10th house of your actions, of your profession. From the 10th house, Saturn is going to be aspecting your 12th house. It is going to be looking at your 4th house and the 7th house. So friends, on all those houses where Saturn is going to be aspecting, your remedies are connected to those houses only. So you have to remain very ethical, very lawful. Any sort of religious austerities, helping people who are going through any trouble can prove to be very beneficial for you. You have to remain very much concerned towards the well-being of your mother, and you also have to remain very much responsible, careful towards your domestic responsibilities and your responsibilities towards your partner, towards your spouse. Now definitely friends, this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn can be seen as a positive news for gaining upper edge in your professional matters, like new opportunities, new role, authority might get bestowed. The only concern over here is that specifically, like, this is a good yoga even to win over any sort of ongoing lawsuit, any sort of court, and any sort of law related problem as well. Only just because Saturn is going to be looking at your 4th house. So specifically any sort of property related dispute, family dispute, if you are going through, over there Saturn can create hurdle. But apart from that, friends, definitely for winning over any competition in your work front, new opportunities, being considered for a new role, being able to execute your duties, your responsibilities with complete perfection and discipline, from all of those perspectives, this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn, being a Yoga Karaka planet for you in the 10th house, is generating some very positive news. The best part over here is that only if you will follow the Saturnian principles of help, of service, of discipline, so trust me, the support of luck will definitely help you in all of your endeavors. Moving ahead, friends, now for all the Gemini rising people. So now, friends, in your case, Saturn has got the rulership of your 8th house of transformation, of unpredictability, of sadhana, of meditation, and the 9th house of your luck, of your fortune. From the 9th house, Saturn is going to be aspecting your 11th house of your gains, 3rd house of your initiatives, and 6th house of the disputes. So now, friends, only if you can work on two matters, like you have to give attention to the concerns of your health, and for any sort of lending and borrowing of the money, you have to remain very cautious over there. Only if you can work on these two planes, trust me, this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn will definitely help you in all areas of your life. Because in any case, Saturn becomes an important planet for you guys. It is a very good friend of your Lagnesh, Mercury, and it has also got the rulership of your 9th house of luck and fortune. So definitely, friends, whether in your case you are a lecturer, you are a teacher, you are going through your higher studies, any of the concerns of travel business, import export business, connected with the judiciary, all those people are definitely going to get benefited. The beauty over here is that whatsoever work or task of yours which have come to a deadlock, which have come to a very slow paced progress, so all those work, all those endeavors and tasks of yours will get that additional thrust. The only thing which is required over here is that I've already explained this thing, try not to get into the dispute. Only if you can work with complete diplomacy, with complete discipline, and anything to do with the religious austerity, helping people who are going through any problems can actually prove very beneficial. And this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn in a very auspicious house as per your Lagna, being in its own Mool Trikona sign, can actually generate lot many opportunities for you. And trust me, friends, at the end of this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn, specifically within the Aquarius boundaries, you will definitely feel and experience that luck has definitely supported you in all areas of your life. And just because, friends, in your case, Saturn plays a very important role, because I explained this thing so many times. When we talk about religion, that is the planet Jupiter. Saturn has everything to do with yoga, meditation, dhyan, adhyatma, and sadhana. So this can also be seen as a very good time for isolating yourself from the crowd, taking out time for reflecting, meditating, and going deep within and finding that solace and peace within yourself. Moving ahead, friends, now for all the Cancer rising people. So now, friends, in your case, Saturn has got a very important portfolio, because Saturn has got a rulership of your 7th house, of your partnership, of your matrimonial life, and 8th house of deeper penetrating insights, taxes, sadhana, adhyatma. And from the 8th house, Saturn aspects your 10th house of your profession, 2nd house of your speech, and 5th house of your intellect again. So now, friends, over here I want to highlight first with the cautionary points. So first thing is that your speech, you have to give heightened attention to your speech. Many times what happens is that many times we keep on going deep within and we take out our own conclusion, our own logics. So you have to remain very conscious that being in your own head, you should not come to those conclusions and start lashing out on people. So your speech, the words which you use, you have to remain very careful of that. Second thing is that you have to also give heightened attention to your health. And third thing is that, friends, because Saturn is going to be aspecting your 5th house as well. So for any sort of big, grandiose expansion plans of yours, any sort of stock market investments and all of that, you have to do that with lot of contemplation, with lot of care, with a pinch of salt. Now friends, when we talk about the good aspect of this transit, definitely in any case, if 8th house is getting qualified in your case, like you work in the fields of taxes, revenue, insurance, all those people can get benefited. Specifically friends, if your lifestyle very much hovers around the yoga meditation, now whether you have interest in these yogic practices or you do that as a profession, as a livelihood, all those people can definitely get benefited. Also friends, in the matters of your family life, matrimonial life as well, if you have been going through some sort of issues or misunderstandings in the past, all those misunderstandings will also get resolved. And let's say for example, for all those people in whose case they are anticipating some sort of a reward or some sort of verdict on their disputes, on property related concerns, inheritances, legacies and all of that, all those people can also get benefited, or verdict or results or news might come in their favor. The only thing is that friends, when we talk about the 8th house retrograde motion of the planet Saturn, Saturn gains tremendous strength over here. So because of which there has to be a lot of discipline in your life, and I would say any sort of hedonism or indulgences needs to be avoided, or those temptations needs to be avoided. Moving ahead friends, now for all the Leo rising people, so now friends, in your case Saturn has got the rulership of your 6th house of daily work life and 7th house of your partnership, of your public image. And from over here, Saturn is going to be aspecting your 9th house of higher wisdom, of your luck, your fortune, 1st house of your health, and 4th house of your domestic life. So now friends, this retrograde motion can be seen as a very good news for anything to do with your commercial, your material or economical gains and profits. Like specifically, if you have your own business, you work in the fields of judiciary, or you are connected with the mass media, so all those people can get benefited. Like specifically all those people who are even connected with the politics as well. But when we talk about from your personal life or family life's perspective, over there you have to give heightened attention. Because friends, like even for the Cancer people as well, Saturn has got the rulership of the 7th house of your marriage and the 8th house. But for the Leo rising people, first of all, Saturn is an arch enemy of your ascendant lord. And the second thing is that apart from the 7th house, Saturn has got the rulership of the actual 6th house of dispute. So marriage is one area where you have to always give heightened attention and care. And this retrograde motion, generally it creates those kind of situations where the outcome which has been getting experienced by the native, it is just the result of his own mind only, thought created within your own head. So try to save yourself from any sort of illusion, misunderstandings within the marriage life. But when we talk about for commercial success perspective, this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn can be seen as a very good news. Moving ahead friends, now for all the Virgo rising people, Saturn in your case has got the rulership of your 5th house of your intellect, 6th house of your daily work life. From over here, Saturn is going to be aspecting your 8th house of scandals, unpredictability. It is going to be looking at your 12th house of expenses and the 3rd house of your initiatives. So now friends, to begin with, definitely friends, when we talk about anything to do with the dispute management and all of that, so over here you have to remain very cautious, because during this time, enemies and all those people who are inimical towards you, they might try to harm you or malign your image. So you have to protect yourself, because friends, a lot of that is going to be dependent on your own actions as well, because Saturn has got the rulership of your 5th house as well. So if you are a kind of person who's always in a haste, who's always in a rush, who's very impulsive with his actions, with his thought process, with his decision making, then you might have to face the brunt. So specifically in anything to do with the matters of your health, where you have to give attention, you have to give care, and also while dealing with any threatful, any sensitive situation which can give rise to enmity amongst the people within your daily work life, you have to remain very cautious over there. But now friends, when we talk about anything to do with the investments and speculation, initiating new projects, so I would say that you have to remain little bit cautious, specifically if in your case you are also right now going through the Saturn Dasha or Saturn Antardasha. So all these alignments just tells about that the grip of Saturn is right now very strong in your case. And with this alignment, Saturn going through its retrograde motion, and that too in the 6th house. So any decision, any action done in impulse or haste might become a reason for regret later on. So those are the areas where you have to work on. But apart from that, friends, let's say for example, if your profession is straight away connected with the matters of the 6th house of law dispute, judiciary, arbitration, health industry, fitness industry, so growth might be a little bit slow, but definitely you will get the insights where you have to head for future. Moving ahead, friends, now for all the Libra rising people, so now friends, in your case, Saturn has got the rulership of your 4th house of your domestic life and 5th house of your investments and your intellect. And from over here, Saturn aspects your 7th house, which is the house of your matrimonial life, 11th house, which is the house of your gains, and the 2nd house of your finances. So now friends, to begin with, for anything to do with new opportunities, this retrograde motion can be seen as a very good sign for getting right set of recognition, being introduced to important prominent people. This transit or this retrograde motion can be seen as very positive for that. The only cautionary advice for the Libra people is that, first of all, because Saturn is going to be aspecting your 7th house as well, so within your relationship you have to remain very disciplined. Second thing is that, friends, when we talk about the 5th house, which is a very good house for your self introspection, and I have already explained this thing that during this time even you can do a proper introspection and you can properly retrospect that whatsoever actions you have taken in the past couple of months, where it has taken you so far, what has been your progress so far. But when we talk about investments, when we talk about expanding your business, putting your money into any of your dream ventures and all of that, so over there I would say that try to remain on a back foot, or try to remain on a more of a frugal approach and attitude in your business dealings, rather than going haywire in your expansion and in your investments. Because Saturn being retrograde, that too a Yogarka planet for you guys in the 5th house, is a little bit cautionary like advice, specifically in the matters of your investments and your financial dealings. But apart from that, friends, I have already explained this thing that for specifically all those people who are working and dealing in the fields of construction, real estate, or you are a salaried service professional, all those people can get benefited. Only in the matters of your investments you have to remain little bit on the back foot, specifically till the time Saturn is transiting in the Aquarius and it has not entered your 4th house in the Capricorn sign. Moving ahead, friends, now for all these Scorpio people, so friends, in your case, Saturn has got the rulership of your 3rd house of your initiatives, 4th house of your domestic life, and from over here Saturn is going to be aspecting your 6th house of litigation, of dispute, your daily work life. It is going to be looking at your 10th house of your profession, of your career, and it is going to be looking at your 1st house, your health as well. So now, friends, this retrograde motion can be seen as a very good news, specifically for professional development and growth. Now, as you know this thing, that because Saturn has got the rulership of your 3rd house of your initiatives as well, so all the initiatives taken by you can actually manifest very good results. The only concern over here is that the 4th house related dispute, like specifically if you have already been a victim or you're going through any sort of property related dispute, so you have to remain a bit cautious over there, specifically if those dispute involves any of your family members. And apart from that, friends, like even within your daily work life and within your professional life as well, strong discipline, ethics needs to be inculcated. So only if you can work on the being on the disciplined side of the planet Saturn in your professional front, all of your initiatives, all of your efforts will manifest some very good results. The only cautionary advice is that specifically to the disputes which might be connected with the 4th house related matters. But apart from that, in your professional front, in your professional journey, this transit or this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn will generate new opportunities, and all the hard work and initiatives taken by you might prove to be bringing out some very good results for all these Scorpio rising people. Moving ahead, friends, now for all these Sagittarius rising people, so now friends, in your case, Saturn has got the rulership of your 2nd house of your finances and 3rd house of your initiatives, your courage, your valor. From over here, Saturn aspects your 5th house of your intellect, 9th house of your higher wisdom, your fortune, and 12th house of your expenses. So now definitely, friends, this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn is indicating that all of your initiatives, all of your efforts might be faced with initial obstacles and challenges, but trust me, only if you can endure hardship during this time, it will definitely pave path for some good recognition, good opportunities, good growth for you. Because friends, like the way you know this thing, that whenever we talk about the third house, which is chiefly connected with your courage, with your valor, and also it is a very important house for all those people who are connected with the fields of travel and tour business, who work on commission, sales, media, marketing, digital media, social media. So I would say that this retrograde motion can be seen as a very good time for looking forward to expansion and how you can scale up your line of work. But again, all the new opportunities comes in the guise of attached obstacles and difficulties as well. So only you have to stay strong in the face of any obstacles. Try not to be blindly relying on other people. Rather, I would say try not to leave things on other people. As much as you can, try to become self-independent or self-reliant during this time, the better this retrograde Saturn's energy is going to work in your favor. I would say friends, for your financial gains perspective, in all of your efforts and endeavors, you will definitely work with some far-sighted vision, and you will also be able to encash and extract good result out of all of your hard work as well. Specifically with the matters connected with the third house, specifically the living signification, when we talk about your friends, your younger siblings, terms with them needs to be handled or dealt with lot of caution and care. But apart from that, this retrograde motion is going to be creating some very positive energy for all the Sagittarius rising people. Moving ahead friends, now for all the Capricorn rising people. So now friends, in your case, Saturn is your ascendant lord and it is going to go retrograde in your second house. From over here, Saturn aspects your fourth house of your domestic life. It aspects your 8th house of sudden unpredictable events, and it aspects your 11th house of your gains as well. So now friends, over here, like the way you know this thing, that for anything to do with the commercial gains perspective, from the financial gains perspective, I'm not seeing you guys vulnerable. Rather, Saturn will make you empowered and reflective enough that you will be able to find any flaw in your existing line of work. The way you can prove to be much better in your financial dealings, like whether you are connected with any of the Saturnian fields or you have your own business, you are in a family business. So all those situations and events where you have come to a standstill or a deadlock situation, you were not able to get a clarity. So this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn will prove to be beneficial for you. All those things which have come to a dead end, you will get the clarity and you will get a clear vision for your future. The only thing is that friends, during this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn, specifically the way you use your words, your speech, and the matters of your domestic life, your family life is going to gain utmost attention over here, because second house is the house of your kutum, of your family. Fourth house is also the house of your domestic life, and because Saturn aspecting your 8th house of scandals as well. So over here you have to remain very cautious, you have to remain very careful. Only if you can work in these areas, that not losing out your temper in any sort of family dealings and involvement. So trust me, this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn can actually prove to be working a lot in your favor, and you will experience this during this time when Saturn is going to be retrograde within the boundaries of Aquarius, its Mool Trikona sign in your second house. Moving ahead friends, now for all the Aquarius rising people. So now friends, in your case, Saturn has got the rulership of your 12th house, of your investments, of presence, of expenses, and the first house, which is your Lagan, which is your complete life, which is your health. From over here, Saturn aspects your 3rd house of your initiatives, of your younger siblings. It aspects your 7th house of your matrimonial life, commercial activities, and your 10th house of your profession, of your karma. So now definitely friends, this retrograde motion will prove to be very beneficial for anything to do with the important professional decision making perspective. Also for all those people who are connected with technology, innovation, anything to do with research, exploration, politics, all those people can also get benefited. The only thing is that friends, just because Saturn is retrograde and it is right in the boundaries of your 1st house and the 12th house, that in itself means that your actions have to be very like very ethical during this time, because if there is any temptation, because you have to understand this thing that Rahu also right now is transiting in your third house, and Rahu's transit in the third house might prove to be very beneficial for initiatives, for any sort of new gains or new ways of executing yourself. But Rahu is the chief significator of driving us towards unlawful, unethical activities, and Saturn is in such a sensitive alignment that any unethical relation, unethical activity, actions can actually land you in some sort of troubles. So over here you have to remain very disciplined. Only if you can follow proper discipline, you are ready and willing to work hard. So this retrograde motion can actually prove to be beneficial. Specifically friends, all the matters of your actions, of your public life are getting straight away influenced. Like third house, which is the house of your efforts, seventh house, which is the house of your public image, your commercial gains, and 10th house is the actual house of your actions. So I would say that friends, in your professional front, now whether you work with your own skill, you are a self-employed person, you have a family business, you are in a partnership business, all those people can get benefited. Only thing is that being disciplined, being ethical is right now all-time high, all-time very important for you when Saturn is retrograde at a very early degrees of the Aquarius sign, right over there in your first house. And also friends, like you're dealing with your younger siblings, with your friends, even over there, try not to blindly trust other people, leave things on others. And lastly, try to deal and take responsibilities of any accountability which you owe towards your younger siblings or towards your family members. And last friends, for all the Pisces rising people, so now friends, in your case, Saturn has got the rulership of your 12th house, which is the house of your expenses, your losses, but also the house of Adhyatma. 11th house, which is the house of your wish fulfillment. From over here, Saturn is going to be aspecting your second house of your income, of your finances. Saturn is going to be looking at your 6th house, which is the house of dispute and your health. And it is also going to be looking at your 9th house of higher knowledge and wisdom. So now friends, this retrograde motion of the planet Saturn can be seen as good only in this regard, that definitely for any religious austerity, like your mind is going to be driven and kind of inclined towards religious and spiritual austerities. So from that front, this can be seen as a good sign. Also friends, like when we say that reflecting, contemplating on the matters of life and death, yoga, meditation, adhyatma, all those activities can be seen as very promising during this time. But friends, when we talk about the point of caution, that also becomes equally important, because Saturn in your case has got the rulership of the 11th house as well, and all the big dreams generally we see from the 11th house, the success and all sort of expansion, scaling up, all those things are attributed with the 11th house. So I would say that friends, just wait for Saturn to retrograde back to the 11th house, but right now it is not a very promising time for any sort of borrowing of money. Like you want to start some business and you are thinking about raising money or getting money from somewhere, so any sort of lending or borrowing or credit of the money needs to be done with lot of contemplation, with lot of care. And also friends, because any involvement of Saturn with the 12th house also give heightened attention towards maintaining complete discipline and staying very ethical, very lawful in any sort of underhanded activities or any temptation towards that. Because friends, when we talk about the 12th house and Saturn's influence over here, Saturn moreover inclines you, encourages you to work with this altruistic mindset. Like Saturn in your case has got the rulership of the 11th house, which is the house of your friends, and 12th house, which is the house of problems, crisis. So Saturn says that within your friend circle, within your community, try to be a light of hope for other people rather than exploiting them, because 12th house also tells about all the clandestine secretive activities as well. So only if you can work and learn the principles of the Saturn, that you do not have to fall prey to the wrong side, unethical side of the society, rather you have to remain very much disciplined in the face of those temptations. Because from the 12th house, Saturn also aspects the 6th house of service, of healing as well. So this is something friends which I want to say for the Pisces rising people. This is an all-time high time for spiritual bliss, for spiritual elevation. in the matters of the investment, funding, or anything to do with the borrowing of money, you have to remain very cautious, and also very cautious in any sort of secretive clandestine activities. So this is something, friends, which I wanted to say as a part of my general inputs for this upcoming retrograde motion of the planet Saturn. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyavad.